Say it's all good, cause it's all good, hey. Say it's all good, cause it's all good, hey. Say it's all good, cause it's all good, hey. Say it's all good, cause it's all good, hey. Say it's all good, cause it's all good, hey. Say it's all good, cause it's all good, hey. Say it's all good, cause it's all good, hey. Say it's all good, cause it's all good, hey. What's going on, world? It's your host from the East Coast, reporting live from the West, where every day is blessed, and this is Highfromfriends. It's your boy, Powell, and today I'm here with my boy, Nathan Berry.
Hey.
What's going on, my brother?
Nothing much, nothing much.
Great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Man, thank you for being here, man. Thank you for being a part of this, you know what I mean? We definitely had you high on the list. You're one of the special ones on the radar because you're a special fella.
On the list.
High. Hey. See, he knows what I'm talking about. He knows what I'm talking about. But Nate, why don't you give the world a little bit about you? You know, let them know where you're from, who you are, you know.
Just so you guys know, yeah, my name's Nathan Berry. I'm from Northern California, a little county called Sonoma County. And it's actually on fire right now. There's a lot of forest fires going on, so, you know, keep us in your prayers. I appreciate it. But I moved to LA a couple years ago, went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, where I met Arielle and I met Ann over here, and formed a little bit of a friendship, a little bit of a bond. And he hit me up, said, let's shoot this High from Friends, High with Friends.
High from Friends.
High from Friends, right? I got it the first
You got it, you got it, you got it. You know, sections, it's like they put us into these groups of like 12, 13, 14, 15, and we all work together for a 12-week period. And this guy, man, he's incredible, man. I really mean that shit, dog. You're one of the up-and-comers. You're young, you're handsome, no homo, but he's a handsome guy. Ladies love him. He's like a Clark. You're like a Clark Kent almost. Like you I remember you fucking can go from this kid who's just like raw, young, street punk and edgy, and then you can transform into this man. I like that's a respectable fucking trait, man. And you got a bright future ahead of you in whatever you do, bro.
And that all comes from, you know, finding myself a little bit. Because, you know, when I was younger, I thought I was that punk kid. You know, I thought I was like the kid who was running around. And then, you know, I started to figure out that I lived in the suburbs with a bunch of other white kids who were pretending to be black. Okay. You know what I mean? And so for those of you who don't know, my father is 50% black. So that makes me 25% black. So, you know, it doesn't really matter. The logistics don't matter. But I'm just saying, like, I had a bunch of friends who grew up just straight up, like they're just white kids, and then they were just straight acting black all the time. And like me, my dad is black, and they would act like I was, you know, their black friend, quote unquote, because I lived in like in a group with a bunch of white kids, and they were like walking around like, yeah, you know, what's up, and I'm like, I don't know why, I don't know where it comes from.
Having that, man, how did that sort of, you know, shape you? Like, what made you sort of stand back and go, what the fuck? Like, are you using me in a sense? You know?
Right, almost. That's kind of, because to a degree, it was like, because I don't, you know, walk around and like, you know, with like a limp and everything. You know, I'm not trying to like appropriate or anything because, because of who I am, because I know I'm black. So it doesn't matter what I act like, it doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter anything like that. Like, I always know that I'm going to be black. And I have a bunch of friends who, you know, they're pretending, and it's like, I think they would almost look at me and they'd be like, yeah, it's okay for me to do this because I have this one 25% black friend. It's like, well, I mean, do what you want, but don't do it because I'm around. Like, don't.
And I had no idea that was a part of your background, man. You know what I mean? That was pretty interesting to find out as well for me. And you had a hilarious story, if you don't mind me sharing, about you were injured or something like that, and your dad took you to the hospital and shit.
Yeah. So what happened was I got this scar on my arm. I don't know if you can see it. This scar right here. I was 7 years old, and it was the first time I'd seen my biological dad in about 5 or 6 years. The last time I saw him, I was like 3 or 4, and I was bike riding with my stepbrother because he just got married. And my stepbrother he was like 5 or 6 years older than me. He was 13, I was 7, and he like went down this ditch and up the other side, and I went down. I fell back, and I just scraped my arm all along the ground, and I just remember seeing blood completely covering my arm. And then I don't really remember what happened in between that. I just remember my dad came, and he tried to take me to the hospital. And then me and my dad show up at the hospital, and he's trying to get me, get me an appointment and everything. And they're asking him all these questions, like my social security number, if I have insurance, where, like who my doctor is, where I'm from, all these questions. And
the general basics,
right? Like the numbers, like 5 basic questions, like who are you? Who is this?
Yeah.
And so, my dad being black and me being white, it was just a whole lot of miscommunication because he was trying to explain to them that I was his son, and they believed that to a certain extent. But it was like there was no, because he didn't have any paperwork, he didn't have any numbers, he wasn't about to call my mom and tell her he got me hurt. So basically, we just left. We just never had the appointment. He just walked out. Like I remember he lied to me and he said something like they had too many people or something, they wouldn't accept people. But I was just like, I remember looking back at it, I was like, he couldn't get me an appointment because he didn't know anything, and they didn't, it was just a whole lot of miscommunication. So they just put some butterfly band-aids on it and then wrapped it in some medical tape, and that's why it looks the way it does. But
wild boy, man.
Right? Yeah.
You're a wild boy. And speaking of wild boy and your harsh marks and you flipping and jumping and breaking necks and backs and bones and kneecaps.
Heard a lot of stuff.
Why don't you tell us about this parkour, man? You're parkour all the way, right?
I know, you're right.
Shout out to the parkour community, man.
There we go.
Hey, people try to disrespect parkour, man. Right. We see y'all, man.
I was about to say.
We ain't disrespecting nobody, man.
It's like parkour, that word, I wish it was, because there's 2 terms. There's parkour and there's free running. Yeah. And they basically mean the same thing.
Break it down for them.
I'll break it down. They basically mean the same thing. Yeah. Parkour means getting from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time. Okay. Free running is that with a little bit of flair. Okay. People, free running, that's when they start to throw flips in and stuff. Yeah, but they're so
like jumping over
exactly.
Like walls on ceilings and shit like that. That's free running.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And so free running's more climbing, like getting up shit, because it's not really like climbing and getting up there and having fun. Like that's free running.
Okay.
But people who are David Bell, if you talk to him, he's French. He will say that he does parkour. He's a professional parkour athlete, and he's a stuntman as well in a lot of movies. And he actually acted in a couple movies. Like parkour is getting somewhere really quick, but free running, is a little bit of flair. But they're so interchangeable because they're almost the same thing. That you talk to normal people when they're like, parkour, hardcore parkour. It has such like you hear Arielle laughing because she said that to me a couple times. That's why. Yeah, The Office, especially like people.
Parkour.
When people think of parkour, they think of they think it's like Steve Carell just running around the office with that helms, just doing rolls on the couch and stuff, and it's a real
spit in the face almost,
and like it's funny.
What you do.
I appreciate it. It's funny. I get it. I get the laughs, but then people. Whenever I talk about parkour, that's the first thing they think of, and they're like, "Oh, you ever seen that? The Office episode?" And I'm like, "Yes, I've seen it." Yeah. But I also went to the gym 3 times a week for 2 hours and practiced my craft and made sure I knew how to do this. So, like people, they don't sometimes exactly see where I'm coming from, because with this parkour shit, this goes back all the way. I was a freshman in high school, and I played baseball from age 5 to age 13. And once I got into high school, I didn't want to play baseball no more because it became a thing where my mom knew I was good and she knew I could use it to get a scholarship.
Yeah. But that wasn't what you wanted.
Exactly. Because when I was a freshman, my mom made me try out. She was like, "You're playing baseball in high school."
So the baseball is what led you to parkour pretty much.
Because I was in baseball, and I remember this conversation. I was thinking about this the other day. Literally, I was talking about it with somebody. I tanked the baseball tryouts on purpose because my mom made me go. And so I remember one day I didn't show up. The next day I was throwing the ball over the dude's head on purpose. The other day I just wasn't swinging at the strikes. I was swinging at the balls just because to me it almost was like fucking the system, because I didn't know what else to do. Like my mom was like, "You're going. I'm picking you up at 6 after tryouts," and so I didn't make the team, of course. And so my mom was like, "Oh, your stepdad Craig he'll have a team, and you could play for him for the Cal Ripken League," which was the little league right before high school. And because I was a little bit younger before high school, I still qualified for Cal Ripken. So my mom was like, "You can play that if you don't make it," and I was like, I don't want to. She was like, but you're gonna. Yeah. And I was like, well, then I'm just not gonna try. Yeah. And she got real upset. She got real mad. She like almost like looking back, I was throwing away my future. You know what I mean? Because all she saw me playing baseball and going there. And I remember she's like, well, you have to do something. If you don't want to play football, you don't want to play baseball, what are you gonna do? And I was like, I want to do parkour. And she said, what you want to do? What do you mean you want to do parkour? Like, people don't do parkour. Ninjas do parkour. Like, stuntmen do parkour. Like, but you can't do it. And I was like, no. They have these classes that my friend told me about at a gymnastics gym, where it's pretty much the same thing as gymnastics. They're just teaching you how to prepare to do it outside as well. And she was not about it. She literally was giving me every excuse. She was like, you're gonna grow to be like 6'1" or 6'2". Usually those guys who are doing flips are like 5'5", 5'4". They're really little, and they don't really know. Or they're not as big, so they can flip around easier. And I was like, well, literally, like 13-year-old me. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I know I can do these flips. I know I can do what I want. And so she said no. She straight up wouldn't pay for the classes. Yeah. So she went out of town, and I got money from my grandma. And my grandma,
always
right.
Shout out to the grandmas in the world, man.
Nana.
Shout out to every grandma out there, man.
That's what I call her.
You got your grandma, appreciate her. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, exactly.
Shout out to grandma and nanas.
Grandma and nanas.
Whatever you call your grandma.
That's what I mean. I went up to Nana. I was like, Nana, can I have $15? And I didn't tell her for what. She didn't ask for what. That was it, right?
$15?
For one class, for a walk-in. You can do one parkour class for $15.
Was it every class?
No.
Or just a session?
Just for like, you got to pay You either got to pay $15 every time, or it was like $50 a month, and you can go as much as you want, or something like that. Yeah, okay. But for a walk-in, I just wanted to see what it was like. You know what I mean? So I wasn't gonna get $50 for a whole month. I just got the 15 for my grandma, and then because my mom was out of town, I told my grandma I was going to my friend's house, and I went to my friend's house, and then we went to the parkour place. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my grandma. I didn't tell nobody. I had my buddy's mom signed the waiver for me when I was 13 years old. She signed the waiver, and so if anything bad happened, they would have called her. Yeah. And nothing bad happened. I remember doing flips the very first day, because they had padded matting and they had a foam pit, and I could just run and jump and do whatever I want. I remember it was like I was 5 years old again.
It was the most free feeling.
Literally,
in the world.
It was like they were like, yeah, they were just like, they taught me a couple things, and he was like, he asked me, Zach, he was one of my coaches. I know him pretty well now, but at the time I just met him. He was like, do you know how to do a shoulder roll? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, that was a little hesitant. Why don't you go over with the beginner group? And then I did a shoulder roll, and he was like, oh, you're good, go ahead. And I just slowly advanced up. In one day, they took me from beginner to intermediate to expert. I was like with like the 25-year-olds doing flips out there. Shit. Exactly, And I remember I landed my first flip like 4 days later outside on some grass. It was just like a cartwheel front flip, and it was amazing. But I can only compare it to like being on stage, almost like the adrenaline you feel. Just like there's so much danger and you're so vulnerable while you're in the air, but like once you land that it's not even because I would go out and I would go to the park and I would do it by myself. It's not even about what other people think. It's not about making videos. It's not about being a stuntman. It's about how it makes me feel, like challenging my own body, almost like a sport. Exactly. You know what I mean?
That's big right there.
Right? Like,
that's the motherfucking key right there.
Pushing my craft, and I knew every day I was getting a little bit better, and I was pushing a little bit harder. And
for you to be that young and know within yourself that that's what you wanted to do, take that as a motherfucking prime key of what to do in life, just period, man. When you feel it in your gut, you got to go against your parents' word, your girl word, your best friend word, anybody. Sometimes you got to do what you know is right. And man, big salute to you for motherfucking knowing that's what you wanted,
thank
bro.
You, my guy.
And chasing that shit at a young age, from a young jit to now. That's very, you know what I'm saying? Man, salute that, man. That's big right there. That's a big trait to have within yourself as a man, bro.
Thank you, man. And
that's great. Go get it, man.
I didn't always have it, but it was nice. It was nice once I figured it out. I think that was like one of the first things, parkour, that I was like, this is what I want to do. I don't care if anybody is going to tell me no, because I know I want to do it.
Yeah, what's your weed background?
So I was really against weed for a very long time. Once I was in high school, I figured out everyone was smoking it. All my friends were smoking it. What?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
What?
Party time, nigga. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I started smoking weed. First time I ever did it was sophomore year. And it was just because I literally was at that point where I had never heard anything bad about it. I never heard one story, like logistically, I had only heard good things about weed. I'd only heard good experiences other than like falling asleep, like, or being too dumb to talk to somebody. But
you were still against it.
Exactly. When I was a freshman, yeah, I heard all that, and I was just like, no, man, like, you know, because this goes all the way back to when I was like younger, just because my mom is like 40 years sober now with Narcotics Anonymous, and she wouldn't care me telling this because she's proud, like that she overcame it and she's sober now. So exactly.
Moms for that, man.
Exactly, because you know, but you know, she wasn't in that shit for weed. She just knows that, you know, as much people say weed isn't a gateway drug. For me, I started with weed, and then, you know, I started drinking after that, and like, so it started to escalate, and it was the very first thing I did, but I didn't like it as much as other people thought, or like other people had to describe it at first, and then so I didn't do it for another like 6 or 7 months, and then over the summer started hanging out with a new friend. You know, he smoked a lot of weed. His dad had a med card, so it all like worked hand in hand, and then I started to do it, and I was like, oh snap, I can think. You know what I mean? Because I grew up with ADHD, if nobody knows what that is, or ADD, one of the others. Because I never got clinically diagnosed for it, but the teachers.
Hyperactive disorder?
Yeah. No, it's not. See, that's why I don't know. I don't think it was the hyperactive. It's just the attention deficit, where I can't pay attention to too many or one thing for a long enough time. And so I get really like nervous. And then I get distracted, and I can't like do things whenever I'm not stoned. So once I started smoking, I started to figure out that at the right amounts, if I didn't just, you know, overdo it at one time, I could actually control it and actually help me out. It helped me control my body, because I'm always very twitchy. I'm always very
So like, you discovered snappy. The medicinal qualities
basically
of marijuana. We know that you spit, right? You drop bars. You're an MC.
I rap a little bit. You
spit a little bit. And it was amazing because a lot of people may not know. You actually used your rapping and your MCing to do a one-person show.
Yeah.
To see you use your lyricism with your art of acting as well and do a one-person show was fucking amazing. And that one-person show also left the school theater, if I'm correct, and went to the Hollywood Fringe Festival.
It did
as well, which is pretty fucking big, man.
Yeah,
and
man.
That alone let me know the impact of it and the presence, man. How was that, man? How was, you know, see the response, getting the response you got, you know, putting yourself out there so vulnerably like that.
Oh, it was.
And getting that response.
Oh, it was scary. Yeah. Trust me, because like at first I was just writing. I had no idea what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I just knew I wanted it to be rap. And the one-person show teacher, Deborah DeLiso, she. I told her about my idea to be a rap, and she wasn't for the idea of it all rhyming. She didn't want it all to be rap, the whole entire thing. And so I was trying to wrap my brain around what I could do to not have it be rap the whole time. And then I said, fuck it. And I was just like, I'm just gonna write some shit, and I'm gonna go into class, and I'm gonna show her what I mean. And I just wrote a verse just about my life, just about me growing up, you know, in the school system, and how I was, you know, misunderstood and wasn't really able to get my full potential because people never really gave me the chance to grow. I was just put in a box. And so, yeah, I'm getting emotional thinking about it because it was just like, I'm thinking about like the response and everything that happened. But so the very first verse I wrote, everybody in my class stood up and clapped. Just 2 minutes of me writing about my life. And at that point, Deborah, she looked at me and she was like, you can do this. You can do this. She literally, like, I even though I knew I didn't need her, like she gave it to me, and I knew I could do the whole 10-minute rap. So at that point, it was just writing verses. It was just figuring out exactly what I wanted to put in, what I didn't want to put in, how to rhyme it, how to string it together and everything. And one of the biggest influence I had was Logic. I was listening to his Under Pressure album, and the song specifically Under Pressure, the last half, if anybody knows it, he has a lot of talking from different perspectives of his dad. His dad's talking to him, and his you know, he calls from his sister's point of view. In the song Gang Related, he's rapping from his brother's perspective. So I was like, I can do that. Literally, that's exactly what Miss DeLiso wanted. She wants different characters. She wants, you know, them to have their own personalities and to have different voices. And I was able to do that. I was able to figure out what I would want my dad to say to me. So I wrote that in a rap verse. That because I was thinking about that a lot, and it was really cathartic for me. Yeah. And then I figured out. I remembered a little bit of a conversation that my mom had with the school system. She was talking to principals and stuff, and they were telling her that I should go. I needed to go to the doctor, and they needed to start prescribing me pills because of my ADD. Because I was always running around in class, and I couldn't pay attention. I couldn't focus on anything, and my mom was just like, he just is a kid. He just needs to play. Like, I remember her saying that. I remember her always telling teachers that, why can't he play? And so that stuck with me. So I wrote a verse from her perspective, talking to them. I remember I have a stepdad, and he's a very strong man. His dad was a cop in San Francisco now, and he's a mechanic. You know, he's a very, very manly man. You know, things and. Until I was 5, I grew up with my mom and my grandma. So I was around very feminine energy. And then all of a sudden this masculine energy came in telling me order and how things worked. And it wasn't emotional, it was logical. At 5 years old, I had to kind of conform my own mind to figure out the difference between emotional and logical. Because everything before that was more emotional. Everything was more nurturing. It was more loving. And after that, all of a sudden, it was rules. It was strict. It was do the dishes, make your bed. It was
real stern.
Yeah, things like that. Yeah. And so it was just a weird flip. So I wrote a rap from his perspective, not necessarily making him the enemy, but almost just so people would understand what I went through in his own perspective. And I had no idea how to tie them together. I knew I wanted to rap, but I wasn't just going to go on stage and rap for 10 minutes because that wasn't acting almost. Like, I couldn't really, of course I was playing the characters of my mom and everything, but it was, it didn't feel like, I didn't want it to just be a concert. And then I saw La La Land. And I have this idea that in La La Land, when they're singing and when they're dancing, that's not, you know, what's actually happening. It's just what their emotion and what their brain is thinking and what almost the subtext of what's happening. Like when everybody, the first scene is in the car, like nobody got out of their car. They were just sitting in traffic, but everybody's thinking and so creative and everybody's so different that that's what they all would want to do. It was a moment that
everyone had together.
Yeah, yeah.
Sort of telepathically, like
exactly.
Sort of in a sense. Oh man, that's amazing. I love the way you looked at that, dude. That's pretty good. It's sort of like a mirage of the brain. You know what I mean? You say that's an incredible way to view that, kid. I didn't know. Look at that movie at all. Right. I was sort of in there like, oh, it's a cheesy.
Yeah.
This motherfucker came out the gate with a motherfucking musical number.
I'm always looking at the subtext and everything.
That's beautiful, man.
And so when it came to the audition scene,
I love that scene.
Exactly, it's beautiful. They just tell her to tell a story, and she starts to tell this story, and all of a sudden it blossoms into this beautiful song. And I think in reality she's telling a story. There's no rhyming, there's no singing, there's nothing. It's just her passion. But because she's so passionate and so enveloped, that's just what the emotions, what she's thinking is happening.
That's beautiful, man.
And so you're almost hearing what is happening in her mind. So that's where I got the idea to make my one-person show in an audition, because I had a really bad audition in school for Hamilton. So I really couldn't, I didn't know the words. I stumbled and I messed up, and I remember I got in my head, and then I was thinking, I was just like, just relax. You can do this. Just get through it. And then that's when I got the idea to start with Hamilton. So I start with the audition and I say, hi, my name is Nathan Barry, and then I go into it and I'm like, okay, wait, what's the word? What are the words? And then you're hearing what I'm thinking. And then I'm like, okay, if I can just imagine a beat, and then a beat plays, and then you hear my life story from there. Because after I got through it, the Hamilton audition went really well. The Hamilton audition went really well after that. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You said Hamilton.
I did say Hamilton. You want to know why? It's because everybody in that has to do with theater, they don't really know hip hop or anything. So the only thing they can really compare my one-person show to is Hamilton. And I've never seen it. I never really I never really knew anything about it too much.
I don't see how people can listen to that entire soundtrack and not see the show.
That's what I see. That's what I mean. I want to see the show.
Yeah, like I got to see the show in order to put the puzzle together.
So people always equate me with that. So they're always talking about,
you should do Hamilton.
Exactly. They're like, you should do Hamilton.
Can we hear a little bit of that? If not, it's okay.
My one-person show specifically?
Or anything really.
No. Okay, I got it. Okay. So this is like the ending. This is like what I want to say to the people.
Okay.
All right.
Give it to them. Give it to us.
But I tried to be what society wanted. They lied to me and I just fucking bought it. Yes, I believe that I was just a product. I could not see that I was not the problem. It is so profound how people tear me down and take me to the ground because they think that y'all are loud to muffle the sound. Well, I am too loud because I can be heard all the way in the clouds. And I learned that the voice is a powerful thing and people don't know what it really means. If you make enough noise, then people will demean all of your hopes and all of your dreams. Well, now I'm grown up and I'm fighting back. Made my own luck and I made my own path. Well, the people going dumb and they doing they dabs. I crawl through the muck and I sifted through the trash of the assholes in class who made me wear a mask and bashed me for acting to make me react. I never lost my passion, mastered my craft, and now I'm here in front of you making shit happen. Inside I'm a kid, but I'm still rapping. I have a vision and I'm taking action. Nate
fucking Berry, man. Nathan fucking Berry, man.
Thank you.
We thin, man. My motherfucking guy, man.
Damn, Powell, man.
Wow, man. Keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open, guys. This is Hollywood's up and coming next. What you're going to see on your TV screens and your magazines and all those things very soon. Trust me.
Fantastic.
They're not here for no reason, and there's no reason you're here watching.
Low key.
For no reason.
I'm so stoned. I'm so high right now.
That's the goal, man. Nate, we want to thank you for coming by, man. Thank you for sharing what you shared with us, man. It's so incredible to have this insight on you now. You know, personally, I hope the viewers gain something just like we did. Wish you the best in everything you do, my brother. I hope you just, man, keep your... I don't even have to tell you, bro. You got it instilled in you already, man. Just go get it. Let nothing stop you, man. I love your hustle. I love your grind. I love you as a person, man. You're incredible, bro.
Right now.
Keep it going, man. This ain't for the cameras, man. That's some real shit. You know you my boy, man. And I'm happy to have you here, bro. Thank you for being a part of this, man. And we thank you guys for watching and being a part of this as well. Peace, love, and more trees, man. Burn more trees and share more love and unity, man.
Always.
We see you on the next one. I never got any milk.
Say it's all good, cause it's all good, hey. Say it's all good, cause it's all good, hey.